Pop culture and entertainment. What title is created when you remove one letter from a famous Aldous Huxley novel to describe its 5 social casts attending a wild dance party? Brave New Rave. Which 2018 coming-of-age film directed by Greta Gerwig follows a high school student attending Immaculate Heart in Sacramento? Lady Bird. Which multi-Tony award-winning actress shares her first name with Audra, while her last name is shared with Three's Company star Audra Lindley? Audra McDonald. Which Breaking Bad co-star has a close real-life friendship with Bryan Cranston and named Cranston the godfather of his son, Ryden? Aaron Paul. Which musical artist teamed up with Morgan Wallen for the 2024 hit song, I Had Some Help? Post Malone. Which photographer is known for her 2016 Imitation of Life exhibition, where she frequently disguises herself as her own model? Cindy Sherman. Which American actor portrayed civil rights leader Adam Clayton Powell Jr. in Keep the Faith, Baby, and General Colin Powell in W? Jeffrey Wright. Which 1964 Motown song by the Supremes opens with the lyrics, Stop, in the name of love / before you break my heart? Stop, in the name of love. Which automobile manufacturer produces the Explorer SUV, which features a 5,000-pound towing capacity? Ford. What massive, 4-hour 1980 Western film directed by Michael Cimino became one of the biggest box office bombs in Hollywood history? Heaven's Gate. Literature and language. Which short word precedes economy to describe a modern workforce characterized by temporary, flexible, or freelance jobs? Gig. Which phrase meaning the exact right word should not be confused with the culinary term au jus? Mot just. What 6-letter term for facial stubble originated in a 1930s magazine advertisement? Shadow. Which missing words complete the famous Dylan Thomas poem line, Do not go gentle into that good night against the dying of the light? Rage. What is the last name of Wally, the American author who wrote the best-selling novels She's Come Undone and I Know This Much Is True? Lamb. What grammatical mood is used to express commands or requests, such as the classic television phrase, Bookem, Dano? Imperative. Which fictional character serves as the alter ego of Ernest Hemingway in his short story collection In Our Time? Nick Adams. Which author wrote the legal thrillers featuring attorney characters Jake Brigance, Adam Hall, and Reggie Love? John Grisham. Which 1970 Western film starring Dustin Hoffman is based on a Thomas Berger novel about a survivor of the Battle of the Little Bighorn? Little Big Man. What idiom meaning dog-tired can be rephrased as poodle-weary? Dog-tired. Which verb means to sharpen a blade with a whetstone or to perfect a specific skill over time? Hone. Which English author wrote the 1919 novel The Moon and Sixpence, based on the life of painter Paul Gauguin? W. Somerset Maugham. Which British author's grave in East Sussex features an epitaph quoting her novel The Waves, ending with The waves broke on the shore? Virginia Woolf. What classic literary idiom is yelled by an editor to halt production and redesign a newspaper front page for breaking news? Stop the presses. Which street in New Orleans' French Quarter serves as the lively, atmospheric setting for John Kennedy Toole's A Confederacy of Dunces? Bourbon Street. Which word meaning okay or satisfactory can be written as either 2 words or as a single word spelled with a single letter L? Alright. Theater, music, and classical arts. Which German composer wrote the 1850 opera Lohengrin, which features the famous bridal march Here Comes the Bride? Richard Wagner. Which science toy demonstrates the conservation of momentum and energy, and was given its common name by British actor Simon Prebble? Newton's Cradle. Which famous Los Angeles concert hall, home to the Los Angeles Philharmonic, was designed by architect Frank Gehry? Walt Disney Concert Hall. Which Tchaikovsky orchestral work features real artillery fire and was described by the composer as having no great artistic value? 1812 Overture. Media, news, and politics. Which MSNBC political commentator and Rhodes Scholar wrote her doctoral dissertation on healthcare reform and HIV/AIDS in U.S. and British prisons? Rachel Maddow. What historic 1920s American political scandal involved a secret, non-competitive oil lease granted by the Secretary of the Interior? Teapot Dome Scandal. What massive civil rights rally drew hundreds of thousands of African-American men to Washington, D.C. on October 16, 1995? Million Man March. Places and geography. Which NBA franchise plays its home games at the Intuit Dome, separating itself from the Lakers across town? Los Angeles Clippers. Which international airport serving Beirut, Lebanon, was renamed in 2005 to honor an assassinated former prime minister? Rafik Hariri International Airport. Which Jesuit research university, founded in 1863, sits at the western terminus of the MBTA Green Line's B branch? Boston College. Which South American capital city is located high in the Andes Mountains at the base of Guadalupe and Montserrat peaks? Bogota. Which historic county in northwest England, bordered by Wales to the west, is famous for its namesake grinning cat? Cheshire. What is the capital city of Mississippi, located along Interstate 55 south of Oakland and Madison? Jackson. In which Australian state, named after a British queen, does the Diamantina River rise? Queensland. Which small West African country features a 35-mile coastline tucked along the Gulf of Guinea between Ghana and Togo? Togo. What historic region in southern Spain was the last Moorish kingdom to fall to Ferdinand and Isabella during the Reconquista in 1492? Granada. Which New York City borough is coextensive with New York County and was famously purchased from Native Americans for trade goods? Manhattan. Which major river forms a natural geographic border separating Laos from both Myanmar and Thailand? Mekong River. Which Central American country is celebrated as a top ecotourism destination and houses the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve? Costa Rica. Africa's rich copperbelt region spans across northern Zambia and extends directly into which neighboring Central African nation? Democratic Republic of the Congo. Which major American river flows through Michigan and shares its name with a prominent Lake Michigan port city? Muskegon River. James Jones' classic 1951 peacetime military novel, From Here to Eternity, is set in which modern-day U.S. state? Hawaii. History and mythology. According to Greek mythology, which hero led the Argonauts on the ship Argo to retrieve the Golden Fleece? Jason. Which 1862 U.S. legislative act granted 160 acres of public land to Western settlers, heavily utilized by black exodusters? Homestead Act. Which magic user and legendary figure from Arthurian lore was credited by Geoffrey of Monmouth with building Stonehenge? Merlin. Which Japanese emperor took full executive power following the 1867 fall of the Tokugawa shogunate during his namesake restoration? Meiji. Science, medicine, and health. Which constellation represents a giant venomous arachnid that killed Orion in ancient Greek mythology? Scorpius. What medical suffix is used at the end of words like lymphoma, sarcoma, and blastoma to denote a tumor? Oma. What internal anatomical pathways connect the middle ear to the nasopharynx to equalize air pressure when you swallow or yawn? Eustachian tubes. What mathematical term represents the average value of a dataset, calculated by dividing the sum of all values by their total count? Min. What type of companies, such as historic brands Dye and Tie-Dee, offer scheduled home delivery of reusable baby essentials? Diaper services. What bacterial infection causing a distinct red body rash acts as a dangerous plot point in historic novels like Little Women? Scarlet fever. Business, brands, and industry. Which multinational healthcare company was founded in 1886 by three brothers and introduced the Band-Aid brand adhesive bandage in 1921? Johnson & Johnson. Which Japanese automotive corporation uses a logo composed of three diamonds, a name that translates literally to three water chestnuts? Mitsubishi. Which London trade organization dates back to the 1300s and historically regulated the production of candles made from rendered animal fat? Guild of Chandlers. Which brand of eye drops, acquired by Johnson & Johnson in 2006, offers a Red Eye Comfort product line? Visine. Sports and games. Which Canadian Football League team based in Regina, Saskatchewan, wears green and white and plays in the West Division? Saskatchewan Roughriders. What Hasbro-manufactured word game challenges players to quickly fill out a list of categories using words that begin with the exact same letter? Scattergories. What short, fast three-letter punch is primarily used as a rangefinder or defensive tool in professional boxing? Jab. Which American football franchise is the only team to have played in a Super Bowl prior to the 1969 moon landing without ever returning since? New York Jets. Which NHL team broke a 54-year championship drought in 1994 and won the President's Trophy exactly 30 years later? New York Rangers. Nature, animals, and society. What specialized terms describe a holiday or event celebrating a 50th anniversary, which was honored with a U.S. postage stamp in April 2020? Earth Day. Which bright yellow songbird serves as the official state bird for Iowa, New Jersey, and Washington? American goldfinch. What major seasonal wind and heavy rain pattern periodically occurs over South Asia and the Indian Ocean? Monsoon. What adjective describes an animal, such as a cat or dog, that lives in a wild state after escaping domestic captivity? Feral. General knowledge. What action describes adjusting two mechanical watches so that they display the exact same time simultaneously? Synchronize. What common word functions as both a noun for a long-legged wading bird and a verb meaning to shoot from a hidden position? Snipe. What common alliterative phrase is used to describe bravely starting or pushing through a difficult, painful, or unpleasant task? Bite the bullet. What is the name of the ancient female mythological demon that allegedly visited and seduced men while they slept? Succubus. Shakespearean drama. Which of King Lear's treacherous daughters suffers a tragic fate alongside her sister Regan in the final act of Shakespeare's tragedy? Goneril. Biblical figures. Which of the 12 apostles, referred to as Nathanael in the Gospel of John, is traditionally believed to have preached and died in Armenia? Bartholomew. Islamic tradition. Who is the mother of the prophet Jesus and the only woman explicitly mentioned by name in the text of the Quran? Mary. Historical architecture. Which famous museum building featuring a curvilinear titanium design was created by architect Frank Gehry in Basque Country, Spain? Guggenheim Museum Bilbao. Maritime disasters. What was the name of the White Star ocean liner that sank in the Aegean Sea in 1916 after striking a German mine, serving as the sister ship to the Titanic? Britannic. Public celebrations. What specific type of urban parade features large amounts of shredded paper, shredded phone books, and ribbons thrown from high-rise office windows? Ticker tape parade. Historic monuments. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, was named after which small island located in the city's harbor? Pharos. European landmarks. Which famous massive cathedral bell in Vienna was recast from captured Turkish brass cannons following the end of the 1683 siege of Vienna? Pomeran. Culinary arts. What specific variety of Italian bow tie or butterfly-shaped pasta derives its name from the Italian word for a flying insect? Farfalle. Foreign phrases and language. Which Latin phrase translates directly to "one hand washes the other," representing the idea of a reciprocal favor? Manus manum lavit. What is the full infinitive verb phrase used in the classic legal warning, "You have the right to remain silent"? To remain silent. Theater, opera and music. Which William Shakespeare comedy serves as the actual narrative basis for Henry Purcell's 1692 opera, The Faerie Queen? A Midsummer Night's Dream. Which long-necked, plucked string instrument featuring a round wooden body is deeply associated with traditional Greek music? Bouzouki. A 2009 flash mob of dancing women took over London's Piccadilly Circus to perform the hand-raising choreography from which hit Beyoncé song? Single ladies, put a ring on it. Automotive and design. What automotive term describes a hardtop car designed to look like a convertible but built with a permanently fixed roof? Carson top. What portmanteau word combines chest and dresser to describe a single hybrid bedroom storage unit? Chesser. Geography and places. Which famous group of towns and villages on the east end of Long Island is world-renowned as a summer colony for the rich and famous? The Hamptons. Lake Balaton, the largest lake in Central Europe, is located entirely within which European nation? Hungary. The legendary rock club Whiskey A Go Go is located along a famous nightlife stretch of which 24-mile-long Los Angeles Boulevard? Sunset Boulevard. Entertainment and pop culture. Which American actor had a top 40 vocal hit in 1955 before famously starring as a small-town North Carolina television sheriff in 1960? Andy Griffith. Which traditional, slightly spooky job title for a cemetery worker also serves as the name of an iconic, world-famous monster truck? Grave digger. Nature and wine. The traditional Greek wine known as Retsina gets its distinct, pungent flavor from the resin of which type of cone-producing evergreen tree? Pine tree. Which sleek, northern sled dog breed is lighter and less bulky than its close relative, the Alaskan Malamute? Siberian Husky. World history. Buffalo Bill Cody famously welcomed Queen Victoria to what massive, traveling outdoor show during her Golden Jubilee in 1887? Wild West Show. The bitter Badme border war was fought from 1998 to 2000 between Ethiopia and which neighboring Horn of Africa nation? Eritrea.